All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we'll be previewing and picking each game for week 4 of the NFL season. And this is the part of the season where the true good teams start to reveal themselves, kind of separate themselves from the pack. And there's some great matchups this week. So it's going to be a fun one. How are you guys?
Yeah, doing well. Got another fun week ahead of us. Got a lot to talk about. So yeah, I'm excited. What about you, Stores?
My crown keeps going away, so it's making me sad. But I'm the picks champ this week. Well deserved for me. Doing good. Happy to be back on the pod. I missed the last one, but I'm excited to talk some football.
Yeah, congrats to Stores. He's the week 3 picks champ. Ironically, I won in week 1 and Shane won in week 2. So we're all pretty much even right now. We'll keep it going with this one. We'll start with the Thursday night game tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one. The Detroit Lions are going to go into Green Bay and play the Packers on Thursday Night Football, and the Lions are 1.5-point away favorites. Sorry, and that's pretty interesting. I feel like that's fair. The Lions are kind of the team to beat in this division, but I feel like this is just the NFC North right here. Like it's going to be down to these two teams. The Vikings and Bears have kind of played themselves out of it. So I think this is going to be a really big matchup with big playoff implications, and it's really exciting. You got Jordan Love, who led a good, calm, cool, collected comeback last week. You got Jared Goff, who's just been playing incredibly surgical under Ben Johnson's offense. So I'm intrigued by this game a lot, and I think it's going to be a very competitive Thursday night game.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping, but also I do think this is going to be pretty high scoring. And I'm really excited to see Christian Watson back. This is going to be his debut. So I'm really excited to see Jordan Love with Christian Watson and obviously the other weapons he has. Aaron Jones is supposedly supposed to be back. It hasn't been confirmed like Christian Watson, but yeah, I'm excited to see what Watson can do. And it looks like David Montgomery will be back. I really wanted to see Jahmyr Gibbs just be the guy for a little longer, but I guess it's just not the time for that. But yeah, I'm mostly just gonna be watching Christian Watson.
I think with the way Jahmyr Gibbs, like it doesn't even the way Jahmyr Gibbs plays, it doesn't even really matter if he's the starter or not. Like he got less points last week being the workhorse than when he was, the backup week 1. So he's just such an electric player. He'll get the points. They'll come no matter what.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there, Dan. I almost feel like he's better suited for a role that he's more flexible and he's able to go out wide and kind of be the scat back. I feel like that's where the more valuable points for Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't feel like it's as valuable for him just taking those early first down runs. I like to see him go out and run the screen passes and run the actual scat back roll, where he's going out wide, where he's taking screens, where he's running angles. I think that's where he's gonna excel the most for fantasy, So I think those are the more valuable touches. I'd rather see him get 7 receptions and 5 carries than 18 carries and 1 reception. I think that scat back roll is perfect for him. This is gonna be a fun game. This one took me a while to decide who I wanted to pick to win it, because these teams are both actually looking really good. Jordan Love I think is playing better than any of us. I mean, I think he's actually, going above how good I thought he would be. And he's looking like a total cool, calm, collected quarterback back there. And he's just making every throw. And I'm so impressed by him. But on the other side, the Lions are just such an electric team on both phases of the ball. And I don't know. I'm my gut is just I'm riding with the Lions. I have to. This is I say it every time. They're my darling team. I think the Lions will take this one.
Yeah, I'm just going back and forth on this one as well. It's really hard. I feel like the Packers defense is awesome. You saw Sean Gary come back last week in his first game from injury and get 3 sacks. So he's just a game wrecker. And then you've got Aiden Hutchinson going off and the Lions getting 7 sacks last week, which is a big improvement. So it's really hard to pick. I am going to pick the Lions on the road. It's going to be a really close one. And it's hard because the Packers are getting their players back from injury. And we all picked against them last week, and that backfired, and that was with all their players injured. So it's going to be a really close one. I do trust in the Lions to kind of outscore them in the
end. I guess I'm alone on this one. I got the Packers. Mainly, I love the way they've looked, and then you add those 2 of their best players back on offense. I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be up Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins back too on offense, which are their actual two best players probably. And then they got their two best weapons as well. So they definitely have their talent coming back. And I think Jair Alexander might be back in this one. So it's going to be a really, really good matchup.
Bakhtiari is out.
Okay, he's out for this one.
Yeah.
Lions versus Chargers in Super Bowl. Calling it right now.
All right.
I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd love it. That'd be so fun. But yeah, Lions are electric. And I don't know. I feel like their defense will match up well against Jordan Love and they'll get it done.
Yeah, I agree. And you kind of start all the options in this one. Like Shane said, it'll probably be a pretty high scoring Thursday night game. We'll get on to the London game, the first game on Sunday early morning. The Falcons will play the Jaguars in their home city, London. The Jaguars are 3-point home favorites in London, their home city. And I do think the Jags will bounce back in this one. They looked really ugly last week. It was actually the last 2 weeks. They've just looked pretty abysmal. I don't love the inconsistency I'm seeing, but I do think against the Falcons, they'll kind of figure some things out in London and score some touchdowns, get some fireworks going. I think that Calvin Ridley will have a bounce back game. The last 2 weeks, he's looked pretty disappointing, but with no Zay Jones, I do think that he and Christian Kirk are going to eat on the Falcons. Their secondary is much improved. I think their defense is just much improved in general. I love the Falcons running game. I think them not beating the Lions last week is just kind of why I picked the Jaguars.
I think this is kind of not important, but it's a needed bounce back game for Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't looked that great. He's only got 3 touchdowns on the year so far with 2 picks. So I'm excited to see what Trevor Lawrence can do. And with no Zay Jones, I think not just Calvin Ridley, I think Christian Kirk's in for a decent role again as well. And then on the other side of the ball, Bijan was pretty disappointing last week. So especially against this Jags D, I think he's going to be in for a pretty big week, unfortunately, just because Stores has him and I don't want him to do good. But
you
yeah,
love to hate me, huh? You love to hate me.
Yeah, but I got the. I mean, I think pretty sure we all do, but I got the Jags in this one. I think they should take care of business pretty easily.
I just want to know what's going on with the Jags, though. Why they started 1-2? Why, honestly, Trevor doesn't look too impressive. I mean, outside of that week 1 game, I mean, it's just the last 2 weeks have been just really disappointing, which is kind of shocking. You kind of expect them to start slow and finish strong. But yeah, it's been weird. The Jaguars offense has kind of been a head scratcher, and for the Texans last week to go in there and absolutely humiliate them, that was interesting. But I wasn't mad about it. Definitely rooting for CJ Stroud last week. But this one was hard for me to decide because the Falcons, the way they play football is just such a rugged, mean way. And I think that they're due for some positive regression in the run game from a disappointing week last week. But I think the Jaguars are kind of in just like a desperate mode. And I think Trevor Lawrence is just light years better than Desmond Ridder, even when Trevor Lawrence is at his worst. So I do think the Jaguars will get back on track this week, and I do think they'll take down the Falcons. I think if Calvin Ridley can get back on track, and Calvin Ridley can have another big game, I think it'll just be too hard for the Falcons to keep up with.
And you mentioned Trevor. When I watch the Jaguars on tape, I think Trevor looks like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I would say even higher. And there's some really good quarterback play going on. I would really just say it's like Calvin Ridley needs to be better. He's dropping some balls. He's dropping touchdowns. He's getting 1 foot in on touchdown opportunities. Same with Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, like we mentioned a few episodes. There's a lot of missed touchdown opportunities for Trevor Lawrence. He's putting the ball there. He's throwing the ball in perfect spots almost every single play. His receivers are gonna have to make more plays. That's kind of how it's gonna need to go.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. And yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. The Jaguars are going to get right. Doug Peterson's too good of a coach. They'll get back on track. And if they start throwing the ball and getting scores early, the Falcons, I don't trust them to be able to air it out enough. Because I mean, their whole scheme is just ground and pound to keep the game low scoring, and just hang in there. And if the Jaguars get an early lead, I think that'll throw the Falcons completely off. And I think the Jaguars I honestly think they should win this one pretty easily.
Right. Yeah, we all trust the Jaguars to bounce back in this one. You don't got to wake up at 7:30 a.m. to watch it, apparently. Or sorry, 9:30.
We all agree, don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. We'll get on to the next one, which should be the Sunday night game this week. Two absolute juggernauts in the NFL are gonna go at it in Buffalo. The Dolphins are gonna go into Buffalo, who are 2.5-point home favorites, which is pretty surprising that the Bills are favored. I understand they're home, but I could easily see one of these teams in the Super Bowl, like 100%. They're probably favored. Obviously, the Dolphins have looked perfect throughout the first few weeks, like literally perfect. Their defense has even been looking better, but the Bills have really impressed. You can just erase the week one out of your memory. I don't think that's really going to creep back in there. They've looked really good the last few weeks, especially defensively. It's impressed me. So I think the Bills are back into Super Bowl contention, and this is going to be a great game. Just high-powered offenses, and I guess we got to cover Devon Achan's new pronunciation. We got to get that straight on the Seekers now. It's Devon Achan. So how do we think Devon Achan will do against the Bills? Are you starting him if you spent big on him?
I think you are starting him, but it's going to be a scary start against this defense. It really is. But you got to have him out there, especially if you did get him up off the waiver wire. You probably spent a lot, and you probably needed him. So you're playing him. It's going to be scary, but the over-under for this game, it's a 54-point over-under. That is an astronomical over-under line to have. I hope it hits the over. This game could be so much fun. But yeah, Achan, he's a little scary, but you got to have him out there. And other than that, I mean, you're playing. There's so many weapons in this game alone that you're playing with all the wide receivers and running backs. It better be a great game. That's all I'm saying.
Achan? I'm not sure if I like that.
Yeah, I think Devin needs to go and just take that back, because I don't like it either.
Did you just call him Devin?
Devon. I guess we're messing that up too. His whole name just throwing everyone off.
Yeah, now I'm all confused. I don't even know who this guy is. But I just got to throw something out here since I wasn't on the last episode of the pod. So Danny, the Broncos.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the 70 points that Mike McDaniel just hung up. I guess the elephant in the room is that the Dolphins are insane on offense. They just hung up 70, and I guess it'll be interesting to see what they can do with Buffalo.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be so low on the Chargers right now, because we should have beat we had every opportunity in the world to beat the Dolphins, and we let them away, and it was a close game. But if they're putting up 70 on a team, then maybe I should be a little higher on my team, but I don't know. That was just crazy. Mike McDaniel was out for absolute blood or something against the Broncos. He was not holding back. And I mean, I don't know, when you're up that much, he kept airing it out and just kept going. It was just
side tangent. Yeah. But he grew up in Denver. He grew up really close to the Shanahans when Mike Shanahan was the head coach. So he grew up as like a ball boy on Mike Shanahan's staff. He grew up in Denver, and then when Kyle Shanahan's coaching interviews came around, the Broncos didn't interview Kyle Shanahan. They hired Vance Joseph. And then when Mike McDaniel's up to go interview, the Broncos don't interview Mike McDaniel, and they hire Nathaniel Hackett. So yeah, that's pretty pathetic. And I do think Mike McDaniel had the right to kind of rub that one in.
Yeah, no, he was out for blood, and he was out to prove something. But enough of that. This game, I think it's going to be the biggest test for the Dolphins. Because the Bills are just so well-rounded on both sides of the ball. I think their defense is going to be the biggest challenge for the Dolphins yet. And again, I don't know why I was struggling so hard on this one. Again, to the side, I was really scratching my head, because I feel like Josh Allen's going to go out there and be electric. And they're playing at home, right? The Bills are at home.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is going to be. Watch this game. This is going to be absolutely electric. I mean, Tua's Josh Allen's going to have to be I hope Josh doesn't go back to playing sloppy football, because the Dolphins are going to be scoring. I hope Josh is under control and he's just slinging it to Stephon Diggs. But this is going to be a fun one. But overall, I just think the Dolphins are too hot right now of a team to stop. And their offense is so electric, and they're doing stuff we've never seen before. So I'm taking the Dolphins, but I think it's going to be their biggest test yet. So I'm so excited to see this game. I think this is one everyone should tune in their TV and really watch this one, because it's going to be fun.
You mentioned Josh Allen. Who would you rather start, Tua or Josh Allen?
Honestly, wow. I mean, it's weird of me to even say this, but I'm
It's
starting
crazy how
Tua because Tua doesn't have to go out there and play hero ball. All he has to do is throw a slant to Tyreek Hill and he can take it 80 yards for a touchdown. So, I mean, Tua, like Danny always says in the podcast, he has to play like a safe, competent point guard. And all he has to do is just deliver easy, passes. I mean, Tua doesn't have to do too much. He doesn't have to go out here and break 6 tackles like Josh Allen, throw it cross body 80 yards across the field. Tua just has to go out there. And most of the time, Tyreek Hill, and if Jalen Waddle's back this week, they're pretty much 3 yards of separation on any corner in the NFL, which is ridiculous to say. But Tua's just got to be on time with his deliveries, and the receivers will do the rest.
Yeah, I don't know who I would pick on that one, to be honest. But I am gonna pick the Dolphins. I don't know how you can't just how you would pick against this team right now. They are like the hottest that any NFL team's ever been. It's incredible.
Yep. I mean, exactly what you said. How do you not pick the Dolphins after what they did last week? So I got the Dolphins.
Right?
I would say don't watch this, but you probably should.
Definitely watch this game. It should have been the Sunday
Even though
night
we
game.
all agreed, watch this one. This is the only one I'm going to say that about.
And weather looks like it's going to be perfect there. So like, I love that.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it's huge implications for the division, for playoff seeding. It's a huge matchup. You start all the fantasy options you can in this game because it's going to be one of the higher scoring ones of the year.
Don't start the defenses. It's the one you want to stay away from.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get on to the next game, which is just another really electric 1:00 game on Sunday. The Ravens are going to go into Cleveland and play the Browns, who are 2.5-point home favorites. I like this matchup a lot. Lamar kind of carried the Ravens last week. It was kind of the same old Ravens. He kind of had to do everything and just put the team on his back, and it wasn't quite enough. And speaking of ballers on the Ravens that weren't quite enough, Kyle Hamilton is on the injury report after kind of putting the entire Ravens defense on his back last week. He had 3 sacks while being double teamed at the line of scrimmage as a safety. I have never in my life seen a safety be double teamed by linemen, and Kyle Hamilton's a freak guy. He's just so awesome. So hopefully he can get back healthy. I think the Ravens are going to be really good, but they're going into Cleveland, and this Browns defense is literally looking like one of the better defenses we've seen since the Legion of Boone and the 2015 Broncos. Like it's going to be incredible. Their defensive line is just sick. The fact that they were allowed to add Shelby Harris, Dalvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith to a D line with Myles Garrett, it's just their team is so stacked. They have the best secondary, in my opinion. I'm riding with the Browns. They really impressed me against the Titans last week. I'm riding with the Browns.
I don't know. I want to pick the Browns, but maybe just because I hate Deshaun Watson. I don't know what it is, but I'm going with the Ravens in this one, even though Rashad Bateman and Odell both didn't practice on Wednesday. They're looking like they could be out again. I don't know. I just think Lamar is going to step it up. It's going to be a tough game. I mean, great Browns defense. If you have Zay Flowers, it's going to be hard to sit him after what he's done and with the potential weapons out. But I mean, me personally, I think I'm sitting him. It's a scary defense. Their running backs are kind of gross. I feel like I'm talking as if I'm picking the Browns, but I think the Ravens are going to pull it out.
Yeah, it's kind of funny the way you talk, Shane, because I'm like, I don't really have too much positive to say about the Ravens outside of Lamar Jackson and just them having a hard-nosed defense. But my gut tells me that Lamar is just going to outplay Deshaun Watson in this game, and that's going to be the difference. I think if Lamar does, I think, after that heartbreaking loss to the Colts, which they probably shouldn't have lost to, because, I mean, they are a better team. He's going to be playing with his hair on fire, and he's going to be doing some crazy things, and he might run for another 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Lamar is going to do whatever he needs to do to get it done. And this defense is going to play hard. And I don't know. This is also going to be a really exciting one, but yeah, I'm going to be riding with the Ravens on this one. I think they're due for a win in this game.
And Deshaun last week against the Titans, 27 for 33, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, and 123 quarterback rating. So I'm very optimistic about Deshaun. Hopefully that could be a sign of things to come, and they start that passing offense starts clicking even more, because Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper were awesome. Anything else you want to say in this one?
I want to say one thing. Can you read Ryan Tannehill's stats for teams not named the Chargers, and then say his stats for the Chargers.
Why are you talking about Ryan Tannehill right now?
Wait, what?
Because how bad he was against the Browns last week.
He wasn't even that bad against the Browns. Like I think he was way worse in week 1 against the Saints. That game was the wonder.
What did they put up? The Browns defense only allowed
3 points. He was 13 for 25, 104 yards, and a 62 quarterback rating. So he was pretty irrelevant out there. But
Are you playing Elijah Moore in this?
I personally am not playing him, but that's just kind of because I'm playing Adam Thielen, who's playing his former team, who we'll talk about here in a sec.
Yeah.
But he led the team in targets last week. So you definitely can start Elijah Moore. It's just they're playing the Ravens. So
also, what do you think about Kareem Hunt this week?
I honestly was surprised about how much he touched the ball last week. After barely practicing.
Going to take the RB1 role this week, or is it going to be?
I really don't. It seems like Jerome Ford is kind of just going to get the main workload, and then Hunt will be kind of his Hunt role.
Okay, so we just think it's just, Nick Chubb
is Ford,
type role, and then and then Kareem Hunt, kind of
in that role.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out through the season.
It will be, yeah. But we'll get on to the next game. The Steelers are going to go into Houston and play the Texans, who just had a big win. The Steelers are 3-point road favorites. My only thing is like, I want to pick the Texans, but will their line be able to hold up against this, as we've seen the first few weeks? Just incredible defensive line that turns games over and flips them over, and they can win games by themselves. So TJ Watt definitely scares me against the Texans offensive line. I love what I saw from CJ Stroud, Tank Dell. He's getting everyone involved. He's spreading it around. You don't see this from rookie quarterbacks. You really don't. So I think it's almost a lock and very safe to say that the Texans have found themselves a gem. You just don't see stuff like this. But yeah, it's really exciting for the Texans. One of the brighter futures in the NFL right now. I love what D'Amico Ryans is doing. This man, Will Anderson, right here. Hopefully he can show out with TJ Watt probably showing out on the opposite side of him. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys talk because I still don't have my pick on this one yet. I don't know.
I mean, I have to go with the Steelers here. The Steelers have looked better the last 2 weeks, especially last week against, granted, I know it was against the Raiders, but they still looked pretty good. With no Derek Stingley, I think George Pickens is in for a massive week this week. And Allen Robinson is looking like he might not play. So I think George Pickens is going to be huge this week with Pat Freiermuth right behind him for a solid week as well. On the other side, I mean, I'm playing CJ Stroud in one of my leagues over Joe Burrow. I'm doing that. I mean, CJ Stroud has looked so good this year. I know it's a tough Steelers D, but I mean, CJ Stroud has proved he's that guy for the Texans. And Tank Dell, that dude's electric. So I'm excited to see him again. Hopefully, he can keep that rolling. But yeah, no, I got the Steelers in this one, and hopefully a good game. I don't know, it could be a little ugly, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, this is going to be also another interesting game because I feel like these teams are very evenly skill matched. Like their whole team, I feel like balances out like very, very well against each other. So it's going to be a rugged football game. But I mean, the way CJ Stroud is playing as a rookie right now and taking care of the ball, and just how confident and cool he is out there has just blown me away. I mean, he looks awesome. And D'Amico Ryans got this defense playing hot and hard, against Trevor Lawrence last week, and they're coming off of a big win and they're rolling. So I'm taking the Texans in this one. I think they're the hot hand right now. I love the way CJ Stroud is playing. I love their receiving core right now. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Robert Woods, and then out of the backfield, Damian Pierce. I think they're a really underrated, really sleeper team. And, I'm going to ride the hot hand, after that big win against the Jaguars. And I think, bearing TJ Watt doesn't freaking strip sack or doesn't kill CJ Stroud. I think the Texans will pull this one off.
Yeah, I would not at all be surprised by that. The Texans are one of the hotter teams right now. I am going to pick the Steelers. I just think this is a Mike Tomlin kind of game that he'll grind out. It's going to be a really close one. I think Pickett can be serviceable, and I just don't know if the Texans line can hold up. I know they have Laramie Tunsil, who's one of the better tackles in the NFL, but just that whole defensive line just wreaks havoc. So it's a great matchup, and it's really hard to pick.
Yeah, bearing what Laramie Tunsil does with TJ Watt, that could
He's
determine the outcome of this game.
he's questionable. Laramie Tunsil is questionable.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that he was on the injury report. Yeah, I think, if the Steelers line does provide pressure and is getting after CJ Stroud a lot, then that could be the X factor in the game. But if Tunsil does play, I do expect him to keep TJ Watt at a minimum.
Yeah.
So, but I want to ride the hot hand. I think CJ Stroud is the better quarterback, and I think he's going to be dishing the ball down the field. And I don't know. I have a feeling the Texans are going to win.
Does Najee Harris get in the end zone this week?
No.
Will the Steelers be on the 1 yard line? Because that's kind of his only chance.
I think the betting odds would say no.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but yes, no.
Yeah, I would say more of a Jalen Warren week. I don't know why. Just the vibes.
How many
All right.
how many Texans receivers are you starting?
I'm starting Tank Dell. I'm starting Nico Collins, and that's it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's those two.
But I'm not hesitant. To start those two.
Yeah.
Both playing really good football right now. It's really cool to see. Kind of two underrated players in fantasy this year that I hope you got on your fantasy team.
Yeah, you love to see CJ spreading it around, and yeah, definitely keep an eye on Tunsil. Monitor that situation because he is someone that can limit. TJ Watt is probably the only guy in the NFL that can. We'll get on to the next game. The Vikings are going to go
later. Come on, Dan.
Okay,
one of the only man like that.
One of the only left tackles in the NFL. Sorry, but we'll get on to the next game. The Vikings are going to go into Carolina and play the Panthers. The Vikings are 3.5-point road favorites, and it's the Adam Thielen revenge game. He looked awesome last week. Was just a target monster, and I have a feeling he's going to put up some numbers at home against his former team this week. The Vikings secondaries looked really rough. Byron Murphy kind of got tag teamed last week. A little embarrassing. They don't have anyone outside of Byron Murphy either. So I am intrigued by this matchup, and we aren't clear on if Andy Dalton or Bryce Young will start yet. Andy Dalton would make me lean Panthers or at least it would make me lean Panthers more because he just has such a higher floor and he's just looked more sharp than Bryce. But and for fantasy especially, I think Andy's good for the Panthers options.
100%. It's looking like it's going to be Bryce. I wish it wasn't. That dude hasn't looked too great yet. Andy Dalton threw the ball 58 times last week. That is so absurd. I'm going with the Vikings in this one. They are in a must win situation. And the crazy thing is Kirk Cousins has looked really good, and he's got Justin Jefferson. I mean, their defense has got to figure something out. But both these defenses, not great. I'm playing as many guys as I can. The big question mark is Cam Akers. He's probably going to start out a little slow this week, and next week maybe ramp up a little more, but I'm definitely interested to see, especially as the Alexander Madison manager, I'm definitely going to be watching to see how they use Akers and how much they use him.
Yeah, I feel like this is I don't know. I feel like this game determines the Vikings season. In a sense that you have to win. If not, I mean, your playoff chances are done and dead. And then, the team might be changed, Kirk Cousins might be on the move. Who knows? I mean, if they're not in playoff contention, then I don't know. I don't see them, I don't see the team staying the same. But with that being said, I do think the Vikings will come out and play with their head on fire, and they're playing for something. I mean, people are playing for jobs, they're playing, to, possibly for other potential jobs, So we'll see. I mean, the Kirk Cousins situation will be interesting to monitor if they don't win this game. But I think I don't have too much to say, but I think they're just going to come out with their heads on fire, and it's a must win, and they have to come out with a win in this one.
Yeah, I think the only scenario that Kirk Cousins would waive his no trade clause is if they lost this game and the Jets were calling or something. That's very interesting, actually. That probably would be the scenario where the Vikings just blow it up if they lost this one. But I'm going to take the Vikings. I feel like they need to win. Like I said, they're just the better overall team. However, I do think the DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders are going to eat in fantasy, even regardless of who plays at quarterback, because I think the Vikings defense is just a little soft.
This game could be really close.
It will be close.
Close. Yeah, I mean, Panthers are just kind of a sleeper team, and the Vikings are just in a must desperate win scenario. So we'll see. But yeah, I think the Vikings. We all three have the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
let's be
don't.
real. Have the Vikings ever won a game by more than like 7? Like this is going to be a very close game.
It's true.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll get on to the next one. The Buccaneers are going to go into New Orleans and play the Saints, who are 3-point home favorites. It's going to be the Jameis Winston revenge game against his former team. Pretty fun. He's just going to be throwing it out there, YOLO ball. He's going to be throwing some picks, some touchdowns. Actually, he's definitely going to be throwing some touchdowns. Definitely going to be throwing some picks. It's going to be fun to watch. It's always fun to watch Jameis, the most wholesome dude in the league. You love to watch Jameis. It's going to be fun. I think Alvin Kamara coming back. The Saints really do have a really high floor, and they're the team I was probably most wrong about this offseason. I think the Saints are a good team. Their defense looks awesome. I'm not even that worried about Derek Carr not being in this game. That's kind of what I think about Derek Carr, and I think their backup situation is awesome. So I do think the Saints are going to take this game pretty handily, even though the Buccaneers have been playing great.
I'm going with the Bucks on this one. I don't know what my deal is with the Bucks. I did pick them to beat the Eagles last week. I know that was stupid, but the Bucks they have up until last week against a great Eagles defense. I know it was only 2 weeks before that. They've looked good. Baker Mayfield, I mean, it's clear he has his favorite target. Mike Evans looks absolutely amazing. He has a touchdown in every single game. Granted, I fear because I have Mike Evans in all my leagues. I fear this is a Chris Godwin game because Marshawn Lattimore is just that dude against Mike Evans, it seems like. Unless Mike Evans can get one of those long touchdowns, it's probably going to be a little scary for Mike Evans this week. But I'm really excited to see Kamara. I hope right away he's just the workhorse, right? Just the guy slotted right back in. I'm sure we'll still see plenty of Kendre Miller, Tony Jones, probably some stupid Taysom Hill stuff, but I'm really excited to see what Kamara does.
Do you guys see that Jameis Winston like rhyme thing that he was doing? When he's like on the team with Ryan Fitzmagic. He's like, all right, everyone, repeat after me.
No,
It's so weird. Everything he says is hilarious.
You didn't see that, Shane? You got to look that up. Anyone hasn't watched it, it's pretty hilarious. His little pregame like hype up speech. He's like, all right, repeat after me. I don't know how to do these rhymes. I wish I could pull the video up. I was trying to find it beforehand. But it was hilarious. But yeah, Jameis Winston's one of the like he's the wholesome, funnier dudes in the league, and it's kind of hard to root against him because he's just such a good dude. But I feel some Baker magic coming back into this. My gut's telling me the Bucks. And like they really didn't play too bad against the Eagles last week. The Eagles are just one of the better teams in the NFL. And I think the Bucks are in for a revenge game, and I think they're going to be playing hard. And I trust Baker to outperform Jameis in this. And yeah, I think the Buccaneers are still kind of riding that hot hand, so I'm gonna ride with them in this one.
Yeah, offensively, the Buccaneers did impress me against the Eagles, especially passing wise. They weren't really hurting. They were able to kind of get theirs. But I am going to take the Saints. I just think Shane mentioned Marshawn Lattimore. I genuinely think Marshawn Lattimore has to be the best corner in 2023 so far. Like, just off performance in 2023. I think Marshawn Lattimore has been the best corner this season. So if anyone was wondering if he's fallen off with his age or anything, he's definitely hasn't. He's been incredible. The Saints defense is incredible, and I do think they're gonna get this division win at home. And it's probably gonna be down to these two teams to see who wins this division. I'm just not very high on Ritter, but the Falcons could be up there.
Oh, for sure. I like that. It's gonna be a good game for sure. Tune into this one.
Yeah, and I love Rachaad White too. I think he's going to be a good option moving forward. He coming off a bad game against the best defensive line in the NFL, but he's going to be awesome this week. We'll get on to the next game. The Rams are going to go into Indy and play the Colts, who are 1.5-point home favorites. Kind of surprising. I thought the Rams would be favored in this one, but interesting matchup. I think the Rams are kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. I think their offense will be able to kind of get their way in this game, though. I think that Matthew Stafford, veteran guy, is going to be able to, and especially Sean McVay, I just think a veteran coach, veteran quarterback are going to kind of play, outcoach Shane Steichen, Anthony Richardson, just a very young team. So I do think the Rams just have the experience in this one. They've got Aaron Donald making that defense a lot better than it should be. Ahkello Witherspoon's playing some really good football. So I am liking the Rams. I like what I see from Puka, Tutu Atwell. Really fun stuff in the Rams, and I'm going to pick them.
I'm with you, Dan. I mean, the line says it's going to be close, and I do think it's going to be a close game. Pretty high, decently high over under at 47. I mean, I pray hits the over as a Anthony Richardson manager. It's looking like Anthony Richardson's going to be back, so that's good to see. Right? Or if you guys got Josh Downs this week, are you playing him, or are you just kind of holding on to him and waiting?
I think Josh Downs is like the perfect stash, just to see what he does with Anthony Richardson. I'm pretty confident they'll develop a pretty good connection. He's like they're by far the best intermediate receiver, so I'm really confident that Josh Downs is going to be a good option moving forward, but maybe just not right now. I personally have him, and I'm going to wait a few weeks.
Yeah, I think with Josh Downs, I'm waiting a week. I'm not fully there and ready to commit to starting him. So yeah, I'd say definitely a week. So I'm gonna go with the Rams in this one. I do think the coaching staff is just a little bit better. A lot of bit better. I think Sean McVay is just gonna have more experience. I think Stafford and Puka Nacua and the receiving core is just going to be a little overwhelming for the Colts. And honestly, I think the Colts would have a better chance if Anthony Richardson doesn't play and Gardner Minshew plays. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know why I feel like that. I feel like they have a better chance winning with Minshew, but I do think the Rams and Aaron Donald are just going to provide too much pressure, and I think they'll win this game.
Want to make a bet?
About what?
That whoever plays, so if Anthony Richardson plays and they win, then that's what I'll go with. But if Gardner Minshew plays, I bet they lose.
I don't really get that bet.
So basically, you bet against Anthony Richardson if he plays, and you bet.
I think either way they're gonna lose. I just say I think they have a better opportunity, but
no, it's fine. You're scared.
Throw in the bet.
You're scared.
I mean, I disagree because Anthony Richardson's legs are pretty dynamic, and I don't think the Rams can really answer that. That's kind of the one thing that will kind of decipher this game, I think. But I will say the running backs in this game fire up in fantasy. Zach Moss is going to absolutely eat. I think he'll have a top running back week this week. And Kyron Williams is also going to eat. He gets like 100% of the Rams backfield. He's awesome. Kyron Williams is a great trade for candidate in your leagues.
But I believe in Minshew magic.
I do think the Rams are going to win no matter the quarterback.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I don't really care to make a bet on it, but I do believe in Minshew magic.
All right, moving on.
Yeah,
we all got the Rams. You don't got to watch it. We'll get on to the next game. The Bengals are going to go into Tennessee and play the Titans. The Bengals are 2.5-point road favorites. I liked how the Bengals looked last week. I really thought that their defense bounced back well. They kind of fired on all cylinders against the Rams, kind of had Stafford struggling. Logan Wilson picked him off twice. I do think the Bengals defense is just kind of really improving, and I think Joe Burrow is going to slowly start getting healthy. We saw how dynamic Jamar Chase was last week, and then you got the Titans who've just dropped a stinker in Cleveland. Hopefully they can be better moving forward, but geez, like I don't even know how like what you could say optimistic about the Titans right now. They have Derrick Henry who just played 17 snaps. It's pretty rough. I don't even think there's really much of an analysis I can give. I'm going to pick the Bengals. I think they'll win this one away. Yeah,
the Bengals are just a better team. I do think they're gonna win this one, probably pretty handedly. But what do you do with Derrick Henry? I mean, are you playing him if you have him? Are you just benching it? I mean, do you got to play him because of the name?
You're playing Derrick Henry.
All right, you're playing. I'll give you some names and let's see if you're actually playing Derrick Henry. Or I got one. Are you playing Derrick Henry or Devon Achane?
Derrick Henry.
The smart play is probably
the Dolphins RB2 yet.
Yeah.
I'm playing Derrick.
Right. Yeah.
Are you playing Derrick Henry or Alexander Madison?
Derrick Henry, 100%.
Henry.
Are you playing? Really?
And obviously hates Derrick Henry. Wow.
He just doesn't get.
I'm not scared with Derrick Henry. Yeah, he's the
Are you playing
Titans weapon they have and ever have had.
Are you playing Derrick Henry or James Cook?
That's a
I think
better
James Cook matchup is awesome.
Yeah, I think James Cook right now. In that matchup, I think he's just the volume and the receiving game and everything should be there. So I'd actually probably play James Cook.
All right, last one. Derrick Henry, or are you playing Derrick Henry, or are you playing Zach Moss?
Derrick Henry.
I think I probably play Zach Moss.
I'm going Zach Moss.
Yeah.
I think Derrick Henry. So I'll get into mine. I think the Titans are in for a bounce back week. I think Derrick Henry is going to go absolutely insane this week. Given I do want to shout out somebody on the Bengals real quick because he's in my head. Trey Hendrickson is just such a freaking beast, man. That guy is just different. And oh my gosh, did the Bengals get lucky getting him from the freaking Saints a couple of years ago. One of the most underrated signings I like ever. Like this guy is just a difference maker. He changes the whole dynamic of that defense, and he's just an absolute unit. And it's just like no one can stop him. And especially last week against the Rams, backup tackle, it was pretty just pathetic. I mean, I felt bad for the dude. But back to my Titans rant. I think the Titans are in for a bounce back week. I think Vrabel's going to have them playing hard this week. They're absolutely humiliated. And I think they're going to come in here and upset the Bengals. And I honestly was not impressed by Joe Burrow at all. Joe Burrow has not looked good, given it could be his injury. But I was highly, highly disappointed in his play last week.
He has no power off his calf.
He's clearly hurting. You can tell.
Yeah, he's clearly, and yeah, I mean, injury is an excuse. It really is. But yeah, I mean, doesn't take away from the fact that he's not playing good football. And T. Higgins is looking irrelevant. Jamar Chase did have a bounce back weekend, and Joe Mixon looks pretty good. But I think the Titans and Mike Vrabel are just. I just feel an upset, and I'm gonna stick with my gut on this one. I'm gonna call an upset, and I think the Titans win.
And you did mention Trey Hendrickson. That's kind of another reason I picked the Bengals because Andre Dillard, I had trust in Andre Dillard, but last week he had one of the worst left tackle performances in NFL history. He's on the verge of being benched already, and he was a big signing, and Trey Hendrickson's just going to ruin his day. So, yeah, I do think the Bengals will win this one, but it could be a close one.
I'm going to go with the upset. I'm riding my gut, and my gut says upset, and 2 picks for Joe Burrow.
And yeah, starting Joe Burrow in fantasy is really scary. Like Josh said, he's just doing dink and dunks right now. He's not trying to look downfield. He's not looking. He's not really progressing through his reads. He's kind of just doing dink and dunks right now. It's kind of all he can do.
Yeah, and I just don't know. Joe Burrow with this injury doesn't look like Joe Burrow. So I don't know. I'm not feeling the Bengals right now. I think they barely escaped out a win against the Rams. I think the Rams had every opportunity to win that game and just played weird. And I don't know. I'm not feeling the Bengals offense right now. I mean, the defense looked great, kept them in the game, won them the game, but the offense has just not impressed me so far.
All right. We'll get on to the next game. The Commanders are going to go into Philadelphia and play the Eagles, who are 8-point home favorites. And this game is just going to be played by 2 incredible, nasty defensive lines. It's going to be the story of this game. It's going to be awesome. Like the Eagles' defensive line is incredible. Washington's just been awesome with Chase Young coming back on the defensive end. They've got a scary defense. They could keep this game close. I will say Sam Howell, after last week's performance going up against this defensive line, could very, very well be a seeing ghost kind of moment for him. I definitely could see this being a disaster for him. I could also see him just Eric Bieniemy kind of scheming it up and making this really easy for him too, and doing some dink and dunks and getting the ball out fast. So I could also see him just having an easy game plan and doing decent too. So this is a really good matchup. I think it's a better matchup than people are thinking.
I mean, I guess there's a world where that could happen. But I feel like it's a much higher chance that this is going to get ugly again, just like last week for the Commanders. Eagles wide receivers are going to be a great play this week. I don't know how you can play Brian Robinson against this Eagles run defense after seeing what the Eagles have done against running backs the first 3 weeks. I just don't know how you can do it. And that's hard because Brian Robinson's a top 10 running back right now, but I just don't know how you can do that. I think it's going to be ugly. I got the Eagles pretty handily. I think they're going to win this one easily.
Yeah, the Eagles defense should definitely kind of come in here and give the Commanders a run for their money. And I think Sam Howell probably turnover. Yeah, like you said, I think this could be a seeing ghost game for Sam Howell. This defense and the talent on it is just too good, and they're playing too good right now. And the offense is just superior with Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So I don't think there's too much to talk about. I think the Eagles will kind of come in here, roll over the Commanders. With that said, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Eric Bieniemy schemes up and how he chooses to play Sam Howell against these guys. But I think the Eagles are just too talented and too much to overcome for the Commanders.
Yep. I think the Eagles' star power is just going to be too much for the Commanders in the end. We'll get on to the next game, which is just the pathetic game of the season, really. Two disasters going at it in Chicago. The Broncos are going to go into play the Bears. The Broncos are 3.5-point road favorites after losing, after allowing 70 last week. Pretty pathetic. It's just going to be a mess of a matchup. I will say it'll probably be decently high scoring because both of these defenses are probably the two worst in the NFL, and Russ has looked good. So I think you could start Russ in fantasy. You could start Judy in fantasy. He'll probably get a touchdown. Javonte might. But, it's depressing how bad the Broncos have been, how disappointing they've been. You got the Bears, who aren't any more disappointing. They were one of the more hyped up teams, and they've just been incredibly disappointing. Justin Fields, unfortunately, isn't an NFL quarterback at this point. It's pretty bad. This game is going to be ugly, but I do think it's going to be higher scoring than people think.
I mean, Justin Fields has just looked so disappointing this year. Are you, in what world? I mean, like, how are you playing him this week? Surely you're benching him. Do you leave him in there? It's tough because it's supposedly a good matchup, but after what he's done, it's like he's burned you.
Yeah, I think I'm benching him. I just don't think I can quite drop him yet.
Yeah, I'll give him. This is the week he has to. I think 70 points. He has to put up at least 24.
All right. Well, would you rather Justin Fields or Geno Smith?
Geno.
Yeah, Geno Smith probably. I'm just saying if he's like I don't know. I feel fairly confident with how bad the Broncos defense. I mean, Sam Howell looked good against them. Tua looked like, prime Joe Montana. I don't know. I think you can play Justin Fields in this game. I think if you have him on your team, this is your last opportunity. And if he lets you down, then I don't even know. Maybe you try and trade him for, a bag of potato chips or something.
You can get that.
And none of us have even given our picks yet because this game's just so gross. But I am going to go with the Broncos. I think the Broncos are just too talented. Sean Payton's probably got too much pride to lose this one at least. I think the Broncos will squeeze this one out.
Broncos, they need it.
I'm going to go with the Bears in this one. I think DJ Moore might have a big game. I don't know. I have a weird feeling this could be a Sean Payton meltdown where he loses the locker room. And I'm not just saying this because I'm rooting against Danny, but I just think this game is it's a disaster class, and this might be the tank for Caleb game. So the Broncos might be in contention for that after this game, in my opinion.
Oh, if the Broncos lost this game, I would be ecstatic. That would really turn that tank on. I'd be very happy.
This game is probably lose, and you're the front runner for Caleb.
Yeah, I mean,
it really could be. Yeah.
The Broncos literally have the first pick right now. I think the Bears own the second pick. So
the Bears also have the Panthers pick though, and the Panthers look like crap. So
yeah, I think the Bears also have the fourth pick too. So
yeah.
And one last side tangent I wanted to go on is Brandon Johnson, who literally no one on earth that's watching this podcast knows is the third Broncos receiver. He gets 60 snaps last week against the Dolphins, and Marvin Mims is in the teens of snaps. Get Marvin Mims every single one of Brandon Johnson's snaps. Marvin Mims is electric. Every time he touches the ball, something electric happens. Get Marvin Mims out there. If Marvin Mims doesn't have a big game and play a lot this week, I do think Sean Payton's a terrible coach. Like you can't. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, so far I've not been impressed with Sean Payton. I mean, for a guy that was talking as much as he did this offseason, he has not backed it up yet. And this Broncos team, it's not like they do lack any talent. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with the Broncos right now. They shouldn't be playing at this level. They're definitely a lot better than what their record shows.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. If they had this Russ last year, they would have probably been contenders. But we'll get on to the next game. The Raiders are going to go into LA and play the Chargers, who were 5.5-point home favorites. It's a great opportunity for the Raiders offense to finally figure some things out versus Brandon Staley. I feel like their offense has literally just been anemic the first 3 weeks, but I do think they're going to finally get things rolling against Brandon Staley, as most teams do. I think Josh Jacobs is going to absolutely eat this game, and it's going to be a good AFC West matchup, as these games always are.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you weren't able to buy low on Josh Jacobs before this week, I don't know if you're going to be able to. I've been trying, but obviously it's just not going to happen.
You're trying to trade him from a guy who's a Chargers fan who has Josh Jacobs and knows what's about to happen. 220 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Saying it right now. 200 yards rushing from Josh Jacobs. Calling it.
He's going to have a good day, and if he doesn't, there's some serious issues. Is Quentin Johnston an instant plug and play against this defense with no Mike Williams, or is that a wait and see? You got to wait and see.
I think Josh Palmer's a safer bet this week. I think Josh Palmer is going to step into this role at first, and I think they're going to slowly phase Quentin Johnston in. But I think Josh Palmer will definitely be the wide receiver 2, maybe for the next week or so.
Josh Palmer is plug and play in fantasy right now. Definitely pick him up and start him in your flex if you can. I think he's going to be consistent for weeks to come. And then, Quentin Johnston is just a stash option right now that you just have to hope that he takes advantage of his opportunities that they're barely giving him.
Yeah, I think the upside for Quentin Johnston is a lot higher than Josh Palmer. Well, it is because he's a first-round pick, and he's only been playing almost like Marvin Mims type snaps. I think even less. He's just been barely rotated in. I mean, Darius Davis, the punt returner, kick returner, has played more snaps than Quentin Johnston has for whatever reason. But I think, unfortunate for Mike Williams, it sucks that this is the way that Quentin Johnston's going to get into the rotation. But it's also exciting, I guess, because it's next man up mentality, and you get to see this young rookie and see what he can do with this opportunity. But I don't think I'm starting Quentin Johnston right now.
And Austin Eckler, he's been out. He did return to limited practice today. I can't say if he's playing or not yet. Who knows? I hope he's out there, because against this defense, he could probably have a Devon Achane type of week.
Josh Kelly's terrible.
He's so bad
out there. I don't know why this. I mean, he looked good in week 1 against the Dolphins for whatever reason. I don't know that the running game was just on point. But I mean, wow, this man's had the opportunity to take the Austin Eckler role, and he scored like 2 fantasy points and ran for like 12 yards.
I covered the Josh Kelly rant for you last episode. Don't worry, I covered that.
I don't understand why we can't give Isaiah Spiller a chance, who we drafted he was our highest drafted offensive player in last year's draft, and this dude's like a healthy scratch every other week and just given no opportunities. I mean, Elijah Dotson, the undrafted free agent, has gotten more carries. I'm scratching my head with the Chargers and what they're doing with their running game. Hopefully Austin Eckler can come back and just solve all the problems, but right now there's no Chargers running back worth starting, which is crazy, because even when Justin Jackson was on the Chargers, he was an instant plug and play when Eckler would go out. So it's just weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Chargers. They're just the much better team. They figured some things out last week, and if Eckler's back, he's gonna absolutely eat.
Chargers by 15.
Yeah, Chargers are gonna. I think the Raiders' offense is gonna play good. Especially, I think the Raiders are gonna run the ball really good. I should say. I think the run game is gonna be on point. But Justin Herbert is just playing too good at football. He's not turning the ball over. He's just playing fantastic. And then I think the Chargers just have to win this game. They don't have a choice.
And then one last question, Stores, for my underdog slip. Is Max Crosby going to get a sack this week? Should I go over or under?
You know what? Rashawn Slater's in, and Rashawn Slater's not giving up a sack. I guess it depends what side he lines up. If he goes against Trey Pipkins, who, he's haunted in the past, and he's switching sides. But if he's isolated on Rashawn Slater the whole game, no, I think Rashawn Slater's top 3 left tackle in the NFL. I think he shuts everyone down. I mean, he made Bradley Chubb. I mean, Chase Young, he embarrasses people, and people don't really understand and even watch his tape, because the dude is unreal. Rashawn Slater, one of the best left tackles, just plays flawless football. But if Max Crosby goes up against Trey Pipkins, which he'll probably switch sides or rush up the middle, he usually tends to get a sack. So yes,
Okay.
definitely put the the Raiders will figure out a way to get him isolated, going through, Zion Johnson or somebody that he'll get a sack on.
Yeah, they're going to move him around, put him next to Pipkins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're really going to line him across from Slater too much. I think they'll leave that to Tyree Wilson, the rookie. But we'll get on to the next game. The Patriots are going to go into Dallas and play the Cowboys, who are 7-point favorites at home. The Cowboys are coming off a pretty gross loss to the Cardinals, a comical loss. It was just gross on all ends. And I will say, like, the Patriots against the Jets last week didn't really impress me. I thought they would kind of put on more of a route than they did. It was just kind of a normal Patriots-Jets game. So I don't know. This game, just two teams that didn't really impress me last week. The Cowboys are obviously the better all-around team, and I do think that they'll figure some things out this week. They lost Trayvon Diggs midweek. That definitely messes with your head, affects your approach for the game. So I kind of understand. Last week, I do think the Cowboys are going to come back firing in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, they need to bounce back this week after what happened to them last week. But Tony Pollard, that dude has looked. I feel like we were just too low on him going into the draft season. You were the highest, but I would say you were still too low. I mean, the dude should have been a first-round pick, top half of the first-round pick, excuse me. But he was going in like the second round. He's looked great. Dak's just Dak, I guess. CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee Lamb's a little scary in this one because Christian Gonzalez has looked so good so far. Look what he did. Look what Christian Gonzalez did to Tyreek Hill week 2. So CeeDee Lamb, back-to-back dud weeks are definitely possible for CeeDee Lamb, but who knows? I mean, CeeDee Lamb, he's an alien. He could absolutely torch the rookie.
Yeah, two top-tier defenses. Both of these defenses are absolutely phenomenal. Really locked down. But the Cowboys, after whatever the hell happened against the Cardinals, just embarrassing. I mean, just pathetic and embarrassing. They got to bounce back this week. And if I'm comparing these two teams, both really good defenses, but the Cowboys offense is just better than Mac Jones and the Patriots. And I think, it's going to be interesting. This game kind of intrigues me in a sense, because I really don't know, like, Cowboys are going to score a lot or if it's going to be a really low scoring game. But I am taking the Cowboys in this one.
And we've got a little Zeke revenge game as well. He looked good last week. I think Zeke can have a good week this week. I think Ramondre can have a good week. And obviously Tony Pollard is just going to absolutely eat. So despite there being two really good defenses in this game, I think the fantasy options will still be viable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll get on to the next game. The Cardinals are going to go into San Fran and play the Niners. The Niners are 14-point favorites. And, like, let's be real, the Cardinals are just they're going to play hard every single game. They're going to play really, really hard for Gannon. It's pretty impressive what Gannon's done. He's a weirdo. He's a weird guy, but the way he approaches things is weird. The way he motivates is weird, but it must work because they're playing really hard for him and their defense is looking good. Like, their defense is terrible on paper. Their defense is one of the worst on paper I've ever seen in the history of the NFL. And they're playing stout. Like, they're going to be a competitive team. It's an NFC West matchup. I think the Niners may struggle to even cover the 14-point spread. That being said, the Niners are the best team in the NFL right now. They've kind of deserved that crown. So you have to go to the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to the Niners here. I know that's what we said last week when we said obviously you're going to the Cowboys. But there's just no way the Cardinals are going to go back-to-back wins against two of the best teams in the NFL when they're on paper bottom 3 worst team in the NFL. It's looking like Brandon Ayuk's going to be back. Good timing for him because he's probably going to eat this game. Him, Debo, Kittle, and obviously the dude in the backfield, CMC. They're all probably going to have pretty solid games. It just comes down to game script. Hopefully it can just stay a somewhat tight game most of the game, and then they can all just keep getting their target shares. On the other side of the ball, it's scary. It's scary for James Conner against this defense. It really is, but he's looked so good. He's staying healthy. He's just a workhorse dude. He's going to get plenty of work. Brandon Ayuk, not Brandon Ayuk. Hollywood Brown, same thing. He was a scary play last week, and he showed up. So I think he's a good play again this week. I don't see him doing as well as last week, but I think he's a solid flex play this week. And then James Conner and Hollywood. I mean, that's all you're playing on that side.
Yeah, 49ers are going to win. No way. No
Nice.
way. No way. The Cardinals beat the Cowboys and go and beat the 49ers in back-to-back weeks. It would be the most nuts thing you've ever seen. But I wouldn't be able to believe it if they did. So the 49ers are the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. They're playing too good at football. And, I think they'll get it done. Do we lose Danny?
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll get on to the next game. It's the Sunday night football game, and this one's an interesting one. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Travis Kelce actually has a new girlfriend.
Who is it?
He's dating Taylor Swift, actually. I don't know if you guys have heard.
Oh,
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but she's actually going to be at this game too. So over under
no shot.
over under Collinsworth saying her name 5,000 times on Sunday Night Football.
I'll take the over on a 50 million timeline.
Yeah.
That's absurd that's
most
being
irrelevant just storyline, bro. Who gives a
I can't say it came out today that she's gonna be at the game again, and that's absurd that I think it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love Travis Kelce, he's an awesome dude, and Taylor Swift is like one of the biggest names in the world. It's kind of cool, but let's chill a little bit. And like I don't know, it's weird. Obviously they're dating, but it's not obvious they're dating because they haven't come out and said anything. They're super quiet about it. It's clearly a new thing, but they're dating. It's funny. It's funny to follow. I can't believe I'm still talking about that. Anyways,
yeah, no, that analysis is more important than the game analysis in this one. Let's be real.
That's probably true. Or does I'm going to say it, does Mr. Zach Wilson go off with Taylor Swift watching him?
I think the odds of that one are pretty low. I think the Chiefs defense has really impressed me. Like, I think the Chiefs defense is them and the Falcons are like the unit that have just really, really impressed me the most defensively. This guy Trent McDuffie's absolutely balling out. He's one of the best corners in the NFL right now. Chris Jones balling. Their linebackers are looking awesome. So I do think the Chiefs again are just going to have the Jets seeing ghosts. I think the Chiefs offense won't even really be limited. I mean, maybe they're in New York and they're going against Sauce and a really good defensive line, but I don't know. I think the Chiefs will still have some fireworks.
The line at 9.5. How do you not take the Chiefs to win by 10 or more? How do you not take that? Maybe it's bait and it's going to be a close game, but I just don't see a world where that's happening, and that just feels like a free line right there to take the Chiefs to cover.
That looked like a team that wants to run the ball, Shane. And
shout out to Willie Gay.
Yeah. But like, in my opinion, if the Chiefs score fast, which they will because they're the Chiefs, and it forces the Jets to have to throw the ball, then all hell will break loose. And I mean, that's the worst case scenario. The only scenario in any kind of world is if there's a turnover and the Jets were able to run the ball and then, somehow get in the end zone first and their defense just plays lights out. But you're playing Patrick Mahomes. I mean, and he's going to light up the scoreboard against any defense. I don't care who it is. And Travis Kelce is healthy and back. It's going to be the second time Taylor Swift's at his game. And so, surely he's going to score 2 or more touchdowns, and that's going to be a storyline. But yeah, I mean, there's just in no world do I see the Jets offense being able to compete or keep up with this electric Chiefs offense. So, and the Chiefs defense underratedly has looked really good. And I think that was, I mean, the defense is playing really good football. So I think it'll be a blowout, and I think the Jets are going to lose their locker room.
Are you Garrett Wilson? Are you playing Garrett Wilson?
I'm benching Garrett Wilson, dude. You can't. What are you hope for a slant that goes for a 80-yard touchdown? I mean, that's the only point you could possibly get.
Yeah, I benched him 2 weeks ago for Puka. I benched him last week for Judy. Both ended up being good, even when he got that 80-yard slant touchdown. I don't even know if that's going to happen against this good secondary.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. And I think for the most part, the Jets will try and keep the ball on the ground and try and find success there because they just won't have any through the air. if that happens, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be it's gonna just be like last week what the Chiefs did to the Bears. So just clock that in right here.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys knew, but Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are dating. So yeah, pretty crazy news.
Breaking news. You heard it here first on the Seekers podcast.
I'm just gonna keep saying it just in case no one's heard. But yeah, the like I guess I am a little scared. I do have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce on my fantasy team, and thinking about it, the Jets defense could limit them. Like it's easy to say they're light up the scoreboard, but the Jets defense is great.
Yeah, Jets defense.
Their defense could limit them, but also just the game script could limit them. You could see what's his bucket. Blaine Gabbert, is that who's behind him now? Who's behind him?
Yep, Gabbert.
You could see him in start of the second half.
Yeah, that definitely was into effect last week. But I don't know. I think this defense might keep it a little bit closer. We'll get on to the next game. Monday Night Football. The Seahawks are going to go into New York to play the Giants, who are 1.5-point favorites. Questionable to me. I don't know really who the Giants are favorited.
The line updated. It's completely even.
Oh, okay.
It's even.
Never mind then. I take that back. It's a completely even line. It makes sense. This seems like a pick 'em to me. Two NFC wildcard playoff teams last year. You got Jamal Adams coming back, which honestly it's his first game in a while, so he could be limited. But honestly, like he could be a difference maker in this game. The Giants' offensive line could kind of struggle with him. He's kind of more of a line of scrimmage havoc wreaker. So I do see Jamal Adams actually having a pretty big impact in his first game back. But I put your money on the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are the better team. They've figured things out this year, which the Giants definitely have not. They've got Sexy Dexy right here, the beast of a defensive lineman. They've got really good talent, and they just aren't really figuring it out. So I don't know what's up with the Giants, but I think the Seahawks will kind of roll them. I think they're looking really solid on offense. I think they kind of get what they need at will offensively, but the Seahawks defense really sucks, and that's kind of let me down. So
So after seeing what the Panthers pass catchers did against this defense, it's got me really excited for Darren Waller and maybe a Hodgins or a Wandale or a Darius, one or a handful of those guys. I'm going with the Giants. I think it's been ugly. They've had some tough matchups. I'm interested to see them against an easier matchup. Saquon, we don't know if Saquon's back yet. He's been day-to-day for about 13 days now. So, that's just Dable being Dable, I guess. That's just what he likes to do. So we don't know yet. And if he doesn't play, I don't think it's worth taking a shot on Breida or Brightwell. It's a kind of a touchdown or bust play with them. And it's probably going to be a close game. A lot of air in and out for Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is just going to run it himself too. So, yeah, I don't think he can play either the running backs if Saquon's out.
Yeah, Breida's volume last week really let me down. I told people to start him, and the touchdown bailed him out, but he had like 4 carries, so it's scary.
Yep.
Seahawks, I think you're going to win. Giants are just kind of weird right now. I don't feel comfortable picking them. They haven't figured anything out. They just haven't really figured out an identity yet this season. And the Seahawks are starting to get hot, and I think they'll, I like Dan said, I think they'll roll over the Giants, and pretty confident Gino is going to get the ball down the field and they'll be scoring a lot.
Yeah, and it might be closer than we're kind of thinking, just because of the Seahawks defense has been a little bit disappointing. The Giants are at home, so they'll be able to move the ball. But shout out to Devon Witherspoon, the 5th overall pick for the Seahawks. He's been balling out. He's looked like their best corner, opposite of Tariq Woolen. So love to see that. Hopefully they can help that defense improve. But Draymond Jones, their big time signing, hasn't really been great. Their highest graded defensive lineman right now is Mario Edwards, a really like a $1 million signing. So the defense needs to step up, but I am going to take the Seahawks just because of Geno and the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I like it. Sorry, Shane. 2-1. Seahawks are going to win.
Giants.
Oh, and I don't know if you guys heard, but Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are dating.
Hey, Shane, will you give us a hot take to end the episode?
A hot take?
Yeah, you got to give us one hot take.
On their relationship.
They will be married by 2025.
That doesn't seem like too hot of a take. It seems like it's I'm gonna need a better one. And
she's at the game with Mama Kelsey. I think that's a lock, bro.
All right, you want a hot take?
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers lose 25-22.
I mean, wouldn't surprise me.
All right, do you want a hotter take?
Yeah, you give us, like touching the sun, that kind of hot.
The Cardinals beat the Niners.
Wow. Shane has said it here first.
I like that one.
Screen record it, post it when this happens.
Yep. And yeah, thanks for tuning into another fun episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Stay updated on all the latest news, breaking news. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are dating. Pretty cool stuff. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Tune in next week for our recap episode. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Peace.
All right, peace.